Proteins. You've probably heard of them at least once or twice. They're in your food. Eggs, fish, meat, beans, protein bars. I could go on forever. But what if I told you that protein was more than just a nutrient in your food? Proteins are just about responsible for everything that makes you, you. For example, humans have 2 eyes. With them, we can see far and we can see wide. This is only possible because of something called sonic hedgehog protein. And no, not this sonic. This sonic. Without this protein, we look similar to a cyclops with 1 eye in the middle of our heads. This is the power of proteins, one of the most powerful building blocks of life. Proteins are one of the 4 major macromolecules created by chains of amino acids. Our bodies use them for specific functions. There are several types of proteins, including antibodies, contractile proteins, enzymes, hormonal proteins, structural proteins, storage proteins, and transport proteins. From stimulating growth through hormones to transporting oxygen throughout the body through hemoglobin, proteins do just about everything. And they can do just about everything because of their shape. Different numbers and arrangements of amino acids result in different structures of proteins, which all have completely different functions. Interactions between these amino acids cause proteins to fold in numerous and countless and limitless amounts of ways. And the shape of these proteins must be very particular because if not, they may not be able to properly interact with other molecules. As I said before, antibodies are a type of protein produced to fight infections in the body. When invading pathogens enter your body, your immune system responds by creating antibodies which bind to antigens on the surfaces of these pathogens. If the shape is not specific, the antibody may not bind with the antigen, allowing the pathogen to continue invading your body. All living organisms use proteins for their survival, whether that be as biological antifreeze or biological Kevlar. Pretty cool, right? It gets cooler. Humans can now design these proteins. The Institute for Protein Design best describes the process as creating new proteins with specific properties by manipulating the sequence of amino acids. There have been various ways of designing new proteins, but the most novel way is de novo protein design, aka creating proteins from scratch. De novo protein design utilizes computational methods to make synthetic proteins using 3D models of natural proteins and the folding rules of their amino acid chains. First, you identify a function that you want to create. Then, using specialized software, design a protein structure that would adhere to that specific biological function. Once the structure is determined, you work backwards to find the amino acid sequence that will eventually fold into the structure. Then, create a synthetic gene with a DNA sequence that encodes this designed protein. And lastly, insert this gene into cells to produce the synthetic protein and see if it functions as designed. One day, we'll be designing proteins that go far beyond evolutionary standards. But for now, we can just appreciate the power of protein and the big role of this tiny nutrient.